I guess to get started, how many of you guys messed with different types of release bones? The rest of you guys are using character studio for bypassing over. The reason we're going to go through this is because you got to get away from using the drop-in bones that we made for you. You guys are serious about animation. One of the biggest reasons is that it only fits one bill, and if you're animating and vegetation, and blobs, and everything else. But they're all going to be bones and all that stuff. So what I've handed out is a rig that I've used for ever since I got out of school. It's a real simple rig, and we can use on. What we're going to be going over is what I call the foot rig. It's from the pelvis down, but it can be implemented on any part of the body. The same way, you can use it on the arms, the hips, and things like that. So, I think we'll just get started here. Everybody else got it up? Good. Okay. All good to go?
Okay.
All right. Well, you're kind of familiar with all these tools, where they are. Max is always straightforward. What we're going to do is we're going to start from the left. First thing you got to do with a character like this is figure out how it's built and what needs to be moved, bent, and how you're going to get some displacement through here, and that you got enough polys or points actually to make it a decent joint. This is a character that provided by Max. I just popped off his head and made a ball of him, basically. But it's a good character. It's fun to animate. And he's real simple to point weight because there's not much to it. So, we'll go to the left. And we're going to figure out the first step. You got to think about where the body moves, of course, and where the pivots are. It's a big part of it because after you get done rigging, you figure out that you put a joint in the wrong spot and then it's over below the knee or something like that. You have a bad time to figure that all out, so you want to just really kind of look at where you want to start with these bones. And we'll go to character and bone tools. And create bone. Now, you're going to start at the hip, and this leg's probably going to start bending maybe about right here. So we start with our first bone. Pulling that down to where we feel it's going to be good. And I'm thinking probably right about there. And now the ankle's a different thing. You want to put a bone ankle bone, or then you want a foot bone. He's got a long foot, so we're going to put a couple of those so we can make it look really cool and flops. So we're going to want to put an ankle bone, something like that, in there. Just get kind of close. You don't have to be real exact about this. And he's simple enough when we get to the weighting part of this thing. He's probably not going to have to pull the weight part at all. And end it there. And that's by right-clicking and get rid of that last one. It's kind of nice to have that last bone sticking just a little bit out of the toe. You can find it later. Alright. So we've got that bone set. And at this point, we should probably go up here and just do that so you're only selecting bones at this point. Sorry about that. Click out of Create Bone and click on Bone Edit. And double click on that first bone and it'll highlight them all. You guys know all this stuff, I'm sure. We're just going to get that. Oh, I'm sorry. Just get that one bone. Sorry, moving over, you've got to be out of the edit mode. So let's get it in place first before we edit the bones. So, and we're going to rotate that somewhere around so it looks decent. And also, you can't create bones, and you probably know this too, don't create bones in perspective. kind of moving, rotating until you get in the right spot. I use this down here because it's a little bit more hamburger better. Like I said, just try to get close to what I'm doing here. And something like that.
Yeah.
That's your first bone. And we are going to duplicate that guy. X. And that one should slide right in place. Is that right? No. Let's go back in here and replace these guys. Make sure they're in the foot nice and deep. I don't know what I did there. I must have backed it up. Sorry about that. I should have adjusted the band before I duplicated it. Kind of doing double the work here, but yeah, that's what we're doing. Good enough for what we're doing. So anyway, you guys got that pretty much? See? Alright, let's just continue on. Let's get all the bolts set, and then we'll start attaching stuff. Alright, the body, back bone, feet bone. Now you don't want to click too close to these guys because it's going to lock onto this axis and it'll just continue to chain. So I usually just start back here, and we're going to try to follow this contour as best we possibly can. And I like to leave a little gap here because I'm going to add a hip bone. After I get the rest of this here, I'll add a separate hip bone just because that's where I like to do it. And a little patch this time. And we don't want them to bend a whole lot. Well, maybe we'll give them 2 backbones and then give him this. And get rid of that guy. So we'll create those 3 bones. And then we are going to move that in place. Do a little adjustment. It's in there proper. Something like that. That's just about perfect. He's built in such a way that point weighting is going to be a cinch. So let's go back to the left. Am I going too slow or too fast? Good pace.
Nobody wants to say.
Where should that third bone in the chest line up?
Yeah, if I'm going too fast, tell me. If I'm going too slow, tell me. Where should I?
You had a question.
Yeah.
Where does that third bone in the chest line up? I mean, should it be starting right about where the shoulder, where the arms are cutting in? Or
right about where the rib cage starts.
Okay.
On up, something like that. You can quite a ways off on this kind of stuff. It'll still be. We're not going to make his body move a whole lot. And you know, you build rig after rig after rig, and you start animating and where to put those things. What those places. So I don't like to put a whole lot. A character like this, he's real cartoony. It doesn't really kind of matter sometimes where he is. So it'll still look cool. All right, and then we're going to continue up. Now this one, of course, you can start creating right off the tip of that. We want those to be associated anyway, so you're going to want. We'll just put one bone in there and one bone in this stuff. Let's see. Sorry about that. I'm gonna make a bigger bone for his head. So one bone for the neck and just one big bone for his head. And get rid of that. Right at the end. Alright, we're going to turn off create bone and bone edit tool. This guy's too big. Just select the one bone there. And open up pins adjustment tools right below there. And we're just going to work with this one right here. We're not going to use pins or anything like that on this guy. We're going to keep it real simple. You guys can mess with this pin. What they do is, some of you guys know that, but it builds a pin out just to give it a bigger encompassing envelope. But we don't need that. Now we're just going to bring this down maybe 3-ish. Doesn't have to be perfect. And it should be relatively the same size. Something like that. No, that's good. And this guy we're going to bring the taper out. This makes a nice big fat envelope. So we know his head's going to be solidly point weighted. Something like that doesn't have to be just like that. Now, let's go back up here. Close bone edit tool out again. And create bones once again. And create one bone right there. Get rid of that. And that. Push that down. Right. And that will be our hip bone. That's going to control. That's going to influence everything. All the bones.
Which way was that pointing?
What's that?
Which way was that pointing?
You want to start pointing up. Alright, now, of course, that doesn't have any association to any other bones right now, but we're going to fix that. Oh, we got to go to the side too, sorry about that. And just slide that baby up like that. Let's just continue on. Let's get one of these arms built out, and then we'll go ahead and do some association, and then we can get rid of this mesh too. The arms are a little bit more difficult. It's all on how the character is modeled. I personally like as straight fingers as possible, but of course a man curve is always the best because that's where you want to start from. You don't want too much stretching or pulling. I like to have them out. They're kind of where they are now, but I like to kind of have them out in front of me like this a little bit more. But the wider the fingers are, the easier it is to put your bones in there and paint out the weights and stuff like that. And of course, when you're in an ortho view, you're always creating bones on a straight axis, so we got to create them and then we got to turn them down, and hopefully we'll match up with the joints and whatnot here. So we're going to go to the top view. Get down in here. It's a little difficult to see what's going on a little bit here, but we can kind of see. I'm going to look at the front here quick. So we're probably going to want to put a shoulder bone in here. You don't need to sometimes. Depends on again how you're going to be animating it, but these cartoons you might want to get a little shoulder jerks and stuff. So I'm going to do this from the front. Again, you don't want to get too close to one of these things because it will associate to it right away. Just going to get a guesstimate out here. We're going to put a little shoulder bone in there. It's going to be real small. And we'll change the sizes. So maybe make it a little concave there. And of course, you want to think about where your elbow is going to be. Right there. And then here again at the wrist. It's always nice to add a bone for controls, but you never want to, like if you're picking up an object or something like that, you want that hand bone to be free of any constraints or anything else. All the constraints are going to be a small bone right there at the wrist, which also helps because when you're animating a twist or something like that, you can use that bone too to help alleviate some of the stretching and whatnot in the surface of the mesh. So we're going to put a little bone right in the wrist like that. And then this will be the hand. that one out and get rid of that little guy there. Get out of create phone and go back into phone edit mode. And we're going to adjust all these at one time here. Again, we're going to go down. Better keep it 3-ish. And that looks about good. Now we can bring it to the end. It's always nice to have a nice something close to each other, I guess. Then select that hand. And bring the taper out on that hand a little bit. See what's happening here in perspective. Oh yeah. We're going to widen that hand out quite a bit. So go back to width. Stretch it out a bit. Widen out that taper. That'll fit much better inside his hand. Alright? These are already associated, so we're gonna. That'll happen there. Oh, we're in edit mode. Again, sorry about that. Whenever you're in edit mode, they don't behave. You got to do your adjustments out of that. So. You go back to the top and check it out. Contour that arm a little bit better. And see that guy right into place. Now, go back to forward. Sorry, down in there. This is all about tweaking it, you know. Moving it around until you get it right in the depth of the mesh. And I think I'm going to pull that guy up. The shoulder's turning up a little bit farther in there. Should also be doing it on a local axis. Sorry about that. And now I can raise his hand around. Now, if you guys are a little bit closer on your hand, that's fine. I'm going to go dump these because I'm not happy where they ended up. Recreate. See, I'm in perspective and saw what happened there. I will go to my.
You weren't happy with how they moved?
Well, they weren't placed in the right spot because I was trying to build that above the mesh, and then when I pulled it back down in there, it didn't quite line up where I wanted it.
Okay.
So I'm just going to quickly recreate that. And this is really the. And that'll work much better for what I need. Again, if you're not right on with this whole thing, it'll still work out. You guys get the whole gist of it. It's not a big deal. You guys probably know. Alright, that's not bad. Fingers are always kind of tricky. I always build one finger and then I duplicate that across. I even use the same one for the thumb. Alright, I'm going to go to the front view. And we're going to do the same kind of thing, build a finger up here, and then we'll slide it down into position. Create bone again. And we're going to do 3 bone. And again here I was kind of like the last bone to stick out of the tip of the finger, just like the toe. Maybe you need to find it, or it just finishes off the mesh or the envelope. Get rid of that. And bone edit again. I go down to that's 2.5-ish for now. See how that's turning out. Yeah, that'll probably work pretty good. Get out of that edit mode. And let's get that guy over here. Nope. Just working with the biggest finger first, and we'll scale these down and move forward and stuff. Just trying to find the center of that mesh with all these bones. This chain of bones seems a little big. I'd probably go back in and burn this and make another one if I was just sitting at home. But we're going to let that be and use it. Actually, I can shrink that down. You want to scale in that, sorry. Oh yeah, that'll work. At this stage, I do a lot of rework just to make sure it's right. You know, when you're working on your own character, you do not want to go back and do this crap over again. Even if it's somebody else's character, you don't want to do it. Alright, that looks pretty good. So we're going to go in and we're going to steal this guy. And we are going to slide it over. Right in there. And it's this. And we'll probably have to scale it a little bit. Don't worry about too much where it butts up with this other bone. You can stick it in there a little bit if you want. Better to be on the outside, but it doesn't matter too much. I'll just scale this guy down here. That looks like it fits pretty good. And I think that's it. That's the back a little bit. His fingers are not all the same at all, so now this guy worked pretty good. I think it might be the right size for this one. How you guys doing? You got kind of that thing going on? Yeah. Okay. Or just keep going. And if you can go faster, you go faster. You know what I'm doing here. You're just going to be duplicating this one and getting it up in here too. So you guys can cruise along if you want. Once you get that done, we're pretty much finished with the boning. We just got a copy of this arm in hand and flop it over. It's always nice to get to that stage. Alright, let's associate these bones and then we'll copy this over. Okay, select that top bone and link it to leg and leg. There. Just make sure everything is working. Everything's connected. Back in that spot. Alright, we're going to copy this over before we associate that to the backbone and finish it. And copy that over on the X. And we're just going to slide that in place. And it should line perfectly because this guy should be relatively symmetrical. I don't think I damaged him too much. Yeah, that looks like he's pretty much in the center of the mesh as far as the fingers. Yeah, that was it. Alright. Once you got that set, we're going to associate this with the backbone. We're going to just attach that to the chest. The same fact. To the chest. And then let's get out of that. Let's adjust these things a little bit. I can't help it. I'll do one. Let's just thin these guys out a little bit. Just so he looks like, the bones look like a character. I mean, you could leave them wide like that, it'd be a nice big envelope. But you want the bones to kind of resemble what you're animating, because a lot of times you're doing that without your mesh. So let's do that. Yeah, about 5, 6 each. Something simple. And then, flatten these guys out a little bit. You could have done this on that first leg and just copied it over. It would have saved us, you know, a little bit. And something. That'll work. All right. I'm going to back up a bit. Yeah. Good enough. That looks pretty good. All right, then we want to associate these. Everything. The hip bone's going to control the whole, all the bones. Because everything's attached to your hips. So you just do that same.
Okay, so it is just one.
Attach that to the hip. Attach. Ah! Just one bone. Attach that to the hip. And attach these down to the hip. Like that. And it's all worked out. Like you did. Yes, you're all connected. Everything works just hunky-dory. So now that is nice little bone set. Did everybody get one of the handouts? Everybody? I guess that's you. I haven't covered anything that's on here. No. Yeah, I only ran on 13 on my screen. So, Brian should have told you. I think you'll see you. I hope you get it.
I will.
All right.
Do you need more copies of this? Do you want one?
Oh, no, I think we find out.
Okay. All right.
Thank you very much.
Thanks, Paul.
Okay. So the handout is going to cover the rig. Little thing. It's real simple. It's a real good one. And you can take this and you can expand on it. Once you start using this, you'll realize what constraints you should use on certain things. And you can build your own rigs, and hopefully you guys will do that. Yeah, he's already got IK on it. Nice. Okay. You guys all use IK chains, right? Everybody? Kind of.
Some of these are not even facing animation yet. So.
Okay. Well, it's real simple. That's all straightforward too. Once you do it, you can hey, that's cool. You're gonna want to do it a lot because they are cool. There are some circumstances where you don't want to use IK chains, just because it does give you some limits as far as motion and stuff. Sometimes when I rig, I won't do anything. I won't IK the arm or something if I'm doing a short animation. It's just sometimes it's simpler for me to forward animation that whole thing. But for the most part, I do IK them. And then we can do some IK targets, which lets you move your knees and elbows and stuff like that independently, which helps out a lot. Some believable animation. So let's see. That's it. It's not a long arm. So thank you. I think we got everything set. Did you skin that cat? Did you put a skin on it?
No.
Oh, I didn't know how that turned out. At this point, you could drop skin on that mesh and see what your envelopes are going to look like. At this point, I'm not going to because it's going to be. I think we'll probably have to paint up some weights in the neck maybe, but I'll bet even the fingers are going to come out pretty decent. Where you might have to go in and paint out some weights a little bit, but I think we'll be okay. And if we get to that point later, we'll just paint real quick. Okay, let's do this IK bit. I'm going to unfreeze. Then I'm going to get rid of that guy. We're going to hide this guy for now. And we don't get anything else over bones, but let's just do that. Excuse me. Alright, first IK.
Oh boy.
You're going to select the top bone this way. Go to animation. You drop down HI solver. And this will create, now you want to take this down to the ankle bone. You don't want to go to this bone. And of course...
Can you do that again?
Yep, I can. I'm hitting something wrong.
HI solver?
Yeah, go to animation, drop down, IK solver, and then very top. Alright?
What's the difference between the different...
Oh, it is. How's that? What's that?
What's the difference between the different solvers?
I only use the top one.
Yeah.
There are... this is a real nice one that I have used, and what you can do is you can build a long chain of foam, and then you just attach the two ends. It gives this really cool spine. You can just make kind of ropes. It's handy for tubes. You can make tubes and wires this out, and you want that to deform along with moving character. Otherwise, I just use the and he was right, this is for some reason broken. I don't know how I did that, and it seems to work over here, which is extremely freaky. Alright, well, let's go back here. Control this, which is back to normal here. Everything working. Anybody else experience that problem? And it's probably me just hitting something I don't even realize I'm hitting.
Yeah, it is.
And that's me and Max. We just get along. Alright, let's try this again. Sorry about that. Okay, we're going to go to the top. Okay, so we got it. And let's do the same on the other side right away. Alright. So you got those. Make sure they work. Oh, it works. And at the same time, if you want, we can go in and throw one on. I don't think we're going to get up to the arms too much today. But like I said, you'll be able to just take this if you want, and you can transfer it up here. But for me, I like usually just use the IK, animate that for the arms and stuff. And let's do that. And just make sure those work fine. And they work fine. And make sure you're snapping back to that same spot so you're not off when we bring the mesh back in. So you've got your IKs on there now. We're going to go over here and into motion, or in, let's see. The helpers. Drop down kind of thing there. We want to create some dummies. And these are just controllers, they are not renderable. And we are going to create, let's create two of those right away. Actually, something about like that. And then duplicate those because we're going to need both sets. Alright. Everybody got the dummies on there? Okay. Now you want to position align this the smaller one. This one's going to end up, the big one's going to end up being what we're going to control everything with. The small one's going to be associated with the angle itself. So we're going to take the smaller one and we are going to position align that to the IK. And we do that with this guy here. And just make sure all your positions are there. And do not do this, just these. And pivot. Okay. So that's there. And let's do the same with the other one right away and lock it down to this one. We'll put it in that same position. We're not locking anything. Sorry, we're just putting it in there. Alright. Now, this is our first constraint. We want this to operate our IK chain. So we're going to go to animation, constraints, and we want to do the position constraint on that, and that's right there. And you're going to have this little guy, just like a linkage kind of thing. Then we're going to link that. Did I? Yeah, I did. Okay. Constraint. I think I had a box selected, probably. So now that box itself controls the IK. And IK can be hidden after that. So we'll do the same on this guy over here. We're going to constrain this IK to this box. Position constraint. Level. Oh, what did I do there now?
Your lower leg moves.
Okay. Thanks. Appreciate it. Okay. Now that box should control that box. Cool. Alright. Now you want that box to control the IK and the rotation of the foot, and that's what's nice about the rig. So we're going to take that guy and we're going to position constraint that guy, or orientation constraint that guy, align. Orientation align that guy to the ankle. So we're going to go back here to and constraint here. First we want to align it. I'm sorry. We want to take that and we want to align it with this ankle. Because we want that ankle to have the same axis exactly for that ankle box. Which I don't know if it's really perfect, but it makes a nice clean animation. So, align that to this, and then instead of having this up here, you align orientation.
Which bone did you do it to? The itty-bitty one that it's almost touching?
What's that?
Which bone did you align it to?
This guy right here, the ankle bone.
Gotcha.
Now that box is basically the ankle bone. It shares the same axis and position and move space and everything.
Then you said we could hide the IK?
What's that?
You said we could hide the IK?
You don't have to. We will hide it. That's why we're doing all this. So all you're going to have is your controllers visible. You're not going to have IK. They're hard to select sometimes when you're really trying to move along in the animations. And a nice big box to select instead. Okay. And then let's do the same thing with this one. Okay. So those guys are in the right spots. And now we're going to put a constraint, an orientation constraint, the ankle to the box. All right. Boom. And do this one. All right. Now you've got a box that controls the position of the IK and the rotation of the foot. One thing doing both, which is real handy. Now the only thing is, when you're animating any object, you want to start at 0. Always start at 0. I mean, if you're doing stuff on your own, sometimes it's not that big a deal, but you want a really clean animation, especially if you're working with somebody. So you want to zero out all your controllers and stuff, and you want to be able to have a real clean animation. So to do that, we're going to give it another controller yet. And this big box will be the one that controls everything, and it will have 0 out space. So we're going to put that one in that same spot. Go back and position align that to that IK. So you're sharing that same pivot point again. Now let's bring the other one in there, just like that. Alright. And then you just simply make that a child of that big box. At this point, go ahead and call these things something, just write control or something, just so you know what they are. And of course, so now you got this box, and it controls both. And at this point, you can hide all these, and all you got is this to, of course, do all that stuff. Now to zero these guys out, I don't know if you can do them one at a time, or you can bunch them up and zero them or whatever. You just highlight on them, and then Alt, right click, and then right here, it says transform to 0. Boom.
Yeah.
Pro. I might have to freeze it. Okay. Now you are 0 right here. This is the one we're interested in. So anyway, now when you start animating, and I know that Brian Schubas went through some of this stuff. Oh, right here. Once you start animating, you're going to be working in this graph editor a lot. And what's going to happen now is you're always going to start from 0. And sometimes your graph will actually look like your animation in some way. And you'll be able to understand a little bit more about how that thing's moving. You won't have random lines and stuff that you're adjusting and just play with. So anyway, and once you start messing around with that, you'll realize how important that is. So there you got a pretty decent rig going on here. We're gonna unhide that guy. See, I've got a bunch of guys here that are rigged out. So is everybody at that point? You got something similar to that going on? Yes? Yeah, question.
When I move my big box,
Yeah.
or even my little box, it's not going with the IK chain. I linked it and everything.